If you saw our last video, you would know that I said our next one would be us going international. That's still true. However, 2021 just ended. It's 2022 now, and over the New Year's, Sarah and I were up skiing in New Hampshire with some friends and reflecting on our past year of travel. We had so many great travels, not as much as we would have loved to have done because of you know what. But we are hopeful for 2022, and because of that, we have been thinking about our top 10 locations that we went to in 2021 that we think you should go to. This is by no means a definitive list, and it was actually super hard to make because we had been to so many great places. But let's get into it without further ado. Our number 10 location is Canyonlands National Park. Just outside Moab, Utah, this park is absolutely massive in size and has so much to offer with 4 main districts. It can be pretty overwhelming to decide which spots to hit, so definitely add these to your list. Mesa Arch is a half-mile round-trip hike to a gorgeous rock arch. It's pretty famous for sunrise, so obviously we had to go for it, and it is super crowded at sunrise. Definitely stay after it, and when all the parkour photographers leave, you'll pretty much have this spot almost totally to yourself. Another high-quality spot is Green River Overlook. It's not so much a hike as it is a walk from the parking lot, but the views of the canyon are so epic. This is one of the best views of the Green River, which is 1,300 feet below you. You can also see features of the Maze District and White Rim Road. This overlook is perfect for any time of day to enjoy the views, but is an especially amazing sunset spot. A final stop in Canyonlands you'll definitely want to see is Schaefer Lookout, which overlooks the White Rim Road winding all the way down into the canyon. White Rim Road is a 100-mile loop that starts and ends at the Island of the Sky Visitor Center and is pretty much mostly a dirt road. It takes about 4-wheel drive to do, and the trips along it can take 2 to 3 days. This section consists of steep drop-offs and sharp turns and is absolutely epic to see from above.
And at number 9, we have Valley of Fire State Park.
So you may not be expecting much from Nevada aside from Las Vegas, but right when you drive into Valley of Fire State Park, you feel like you're on a different planet. The bright colors of the red Aztec stone contrasted with the gray and tan limestone really stand out and transport you somewhere else. There are many hiking trails and featured spots along Mouse's Tank Road, which is 5.7 miles long, beginning at the Visitor Center and ending at the White Dome's Trailhead, which is where we recommend you start. White Dome's Trail is a 1.1 mile loop that takes you through sandy trails, through sandstone formations, past an abandoned movie set, and through a slot canyon. From there, drive to parking lot number 3 to Fire Wave Trailhead, which is a 1.5 mile out and back hike with 175 feet of elevation change. It's a relatively easy hike to do to an amazing sandstone formation that looks like a candy cane with swirling patterns of red, white, and pink sandstone. It also has a beautiful backdrop which just adds to the whole experience. End your time in Valley of Fire driving on Mouse's Tank Road and pulling over at one of the designated spots for sunset. It feels so magical to run on this epic road, always watching for cars of course, and experience a beautiful sunset.
Coming in at number 8 is Arches National Park. In Moab, Utah, this park had us in total awe the entire time. In June, the 100-degree heat can definitely put a damper on any experience.
It's hot.
It is hot.
It's 100.
But it has so much to offer with all the different landscapes. There's so many different paths to take, but definitely focus on the windows section. In the windows section, a favorite arch has to be Double Arch, which is only a half-mile hike that is relatively flat, leading to the tallest and second longest arch in the entire park. Right across the parking lot, you can hike the Windows Loop and Turret Arch Trail, which is a 1.2-mile loop passing by Turret Arch, North Window Arch, and South Window Arch. You can avoid the crowds and the heat by going early in the morning. Then you can drive 10 minutes to the Delicate Arch Trailhead. The 3.2-mile out and back trail leads to the iconic Delicate Arch that has to be one of the most famous geological structures in the entire world. We went midday and it was hot in June, but it was great for having the arch pretty much all to ourselves. We do not recommend doing that unless you are very prepared, since there is no shade along the path until you get to the arch itself. Also, just so you know, you may have to wait to enter this park, as it does close if there are too many visitors already in there. We had to wait 4 hours before we could enter, but once we were in there, it was absolutely worth the wait.
And number 7 is Antelope Canyon. If you are looking for some adventure, you'll want to kayak through Antelope Canyon in Arizona. It's a 7-mile round-trip paddle beginning at Antelope Point Marina. The water can get pretty rough with boats coming and going along the way, but it was not too bad. If you're looking for something a little less adventurous, you can also book a walking tour of Upper or Lower Antelope Canyon. Kayaking on Lake Powell was such an incredible experience, especially when we turned into the canyon and experienced blue water and high, colorful walls. You can even jump in if you're a little hot or just looking for some fun. When you finally make it to the entrance of Antelope Canyon, you can walk in as far as you like. We probably walked through the canyon for about 1.5 hours and then had a lunch break in the shade. We loved when the canyon got super thin and windy. It really felt like we were on a different planet.
Number 6 is Alabama Hills. The second we drove into this area, a little bit northwest of Death Valley in California, we knew we had to come back immediately. You definitely want to spend at least one night here if you have a camper van because it is so gorgeous and there's so much to do, as well as seeing the different sunsets and sunrises that it has to offer. Just make sure you park in a designated camp spot since the area is trying to heal. One of our favorite moments was watching the sunrise on Movie Road that made the Sierra Nevada mountains glow. We quite literally felt like we were in a movie. There's also plenty of hiking trails that you can do, but our favorite was Mobius Arch Loop Trail. It's 0.6 miles out and back, not too challenging, but it was a beautiful spot that you could just sit and enjoy the views of the mountains behind you and just look through the arch.
And number 5 is Zion National Park. Zion National Park in southern Utah was one of our most adventurous trips. We are about to hike Angel's Landing. The drive in itself is absolutely gorgeous, especially driving in through the Mount Carmel Highway Tunnel. There's plenty of hiking for you to do, but our 3 favorite trails were Canyon Overlook Trail, Angel's Landing, and the Narrows. Canyon Overlook is located just before the long Zion Mount Carmel Tunnel if you're coming in from the park from the east. There's no shuttle needed for this quick 1-mile round-trip hike, but the parking lots do fill up quickly. The views here are similar to Angel's Landing, but way easier. Angel's Landing was one of the scariest experiences we had in 2021. If you can handle heights and edges and you're craving adventure, this is the hike for you. It is a 5.4-mile round-trip hike and you will gain 1,488 feet in elevation. You can take the shuttle to stop number 6, the Grotto. The last half mile of this hike is extremely strenuous, with steep drop-offs on either side as you are ascending the narrow mountain ridge. The narrowest portion of the trail is only a few feet wide, but there are plenty of guardrails to hold onto. In response to crowding, there will actually be a permit program after April in 2022. You may also want to consider hiking to Observation Point, which is long but much easier and offers similar views to Angel's Landing. Another iconic hike is the Narrows, which is the narrowest section of Zion Canyon with walls of 1,000 feet tall. The trailhead starts 1 mile from the shuttle stop, Temple of Sinawava, number 9, and then you can start walking in the Virgin River. Definitely go as early as possible to avoid the crowds. The first shuttle is at 6 a.m., but get there earlier since the lines can be really long. Also, be prepared to get wet. Wear water shoes, rent a walking pole since the rocks get slippery, and do not plan on hiking if there's a flash flood warning. And remember, the further you go in, the less people you see.
And number 4 is Olympic National Park. This park in Washington State is another absolutely massive one. You could probably spend a month or more in this park and still not experience everything. It has so much to offer, from mountains to rainforests to waterfalls and lakes and pretty much everything in between. You'll definitely want to allocate multiple days in Olympic during your visit. One of the best hikes you can do is Mount Storm King Trail. It's challenging at 5 miles out and back and very steep at about 2,500 feet of elevation gain, but the views of Lake Crescent below and the surrounding mountains make up for the massive leg cramp you'll get. If you're feeling ambitious after hiking Mount Storm King, make the drive to the Quinault Rainforest. During our time in Olympic, there was construction on the road going to the Hoh Rainforest, but the Quinault Rainforest is absolutely stunning, so it made up for it. If you hike Mount Storm King and want an easier hike on the legs that day, you'll definitely want to hike the Quinault Loop Trail. It is a 3.8-mile loop with little elevation gain that brings you along multiple waterfalls, a lake, and you will see some spectacularly tall trees along the way, some of which are hundreds of years old. The perfect end to this hike was finding a waterfall to jump off of to cool down before heading to the next spot. With Olympic National Park being on the coast, you'll definitely want to hit up one of the amazing beaches in it. Ruby Beach is an iconic beach to stop and enjoy the breathtaking views of tall rock formations in the ocean, and maybe take a dip in the cold Pacific if you're like Sarah.
And number 3 is Bryce Canyon National Park. Bryce Canyon National Park in southern Utah was definitely one of our favorites due to the colorful hoodoos and rock formations. If you're interested in hiking or just looking for easy overlooks, Bryce Canyon has you covered. Our favorite sunrise spot was Inspiration Point since it's a bit less crowded than Sunrise or Sunset Point. Watching the sunrise over the hoodoos was magical as it made them glow even more orange. You definitely can't miss the Navajo Loop Trail that's 1.4 miles long. It begins and ends at Sunset Point and starts with switchbacks down narrow walls of beautifully colored limestone. The loop has 2 sides, Wall Street and 2 bridges. We recommend hiking counterclockwise when Wall Street's open, but you can also hike 2 bridges out and back when it's closed in the winter months. And Sunrise Point was actually great for sunset. You can soak in the beauty of the hoodoos at any point along the rim trail.
Number 2 is Mount Rainier National Park. Our favorite national park in Washington State is absolutely Mount Rainier National Park. A great trail for your first time in Mount Rainier is the Skyline Trail Loop. It's a moderate hike at about 6.1 miles round trip and has about 1,800 feet of elevation gain, but the views you have of Mount Rainier will also take your breath away. You'll want to hike this loop clockwise for the best views of the mountain, the entire park, and other surrounding mountains. Along the trail is Panorama Point, which can get very crowded, so just stop for a minute and take in the views before moving on to find your own spot. You can definitely find a different spot with better views and far fewer people. If you're lucky along the way, you'll see a couple marmots off the trail, and if you're there on a very clear day, you can see as far as Mount Hood in Oregon. You'll want to hike this trail clockwise because at the end it ends with Myrtle Falls, which is such a pretty waterfall with Mount Rainier as the backdrop, and so it's just a great way to end such an awesome experience in this amazing national park.
And number 1 is Death Valley National Park. And our absolute favorite spot that we went to this year was Death Valley National Park in California. Because of the intense size of the park and the stunning landscapes within, we were always in awe. We visited in December, which was the perfect temperature for us. We would never want to experience the summer heat and learn why it's actually called Death Valley. There are so many spots that you can explore, but here are our top 5. Badwater Basin, the lowest point in North America and the US, at 282 feet below sea level. You can walk out as far as you want on the salt flats and enjoy a beautiful sunset. Another epic spot was Artist Palette, which is right off of Artist Drive. The rainbow-colored mountains are because of the various metals oxidizing in the clay. You should get up and close to the clay and take it all in. Zabriskie Point was amazing for sunrise. There is a short hike on a paved path to a beautiful viewpoint, or you can take a trail like the 2.5-mile Badlands Loop to be up and close and personal with the Badlands and enjoy the sunrise without a crowd. Hiking Golden Canyon to Red Cathedral made us feel so small. It was a 3-mile out and back trail that we would absolutely do again. You can also take other trails from here, but this was our favorite. And our favorite spot in the whole park was Mesquite Flat sand dunes during sunrise. There's no set trail, but you can hike out to the tallest dunes and enjoy the sun dancing over the sand during sunrise. You can also go during sunset, but we highly recommend going when the sun is rising or setting so you can enjoy the contrast.
So there you have it. That's our top 10 locations that you need to visit in 2022. Obviously, all of them have way more to offer than just what we talked about here, and we didn't have a lot of time in each of them to experience all of it, but you'll just have to go for yourself, experience it, let us know what you think, and as always, leave no trace when exploring the outdoors. This park can absolutely...
Oh no.
Apparently I can't read. Alright. Take number 2.
Dose!
Oh.
Making a lot of noise there, pal.
Sorry.
Number one, Death Valley.